to the 73rd episode in our AI and You podcast series. Today is Friday, October 15th, 2021, and I'm your host, Vikar Saidi. I'm a computer scientist and engineer, a lecturer, and a consultant. I'm also the author of several books. My most recent book is about artificial intelligence and is titled The Genome Affair. The Genome Affair is a speculative work. It examines what the world might be like if some of the more extraordinary capabilities forecast to be realized in AI over the next 20 to 30 years were actually realized today. Given the growing list of frightening existential threats humankind now faces, the book pays particular attention to the impact AI is expected to have on world affairs. The book is available in ebook format for those who prefer to read on a digital device, but it's also available in a high-quality paperback edition. The Genome Affair is available on Amazon, so I hope you'll take the time to read it and to leave a review. Amazon book reviews are very helpful for writers. I'm very interested in how science and technology influence world affairs and the big questions facing humankind. Studying at the confluence of the great disciplines of human history, political science and thought, international affairs, science, and technology offers a deep understanding and pedagogically important lessons of how advances in human endeavor have influenced and impacted civilization. I'm available to give talks on artificial intelligence and its related technologies, and on the impact AI is expected to have, or is already having, on our world. If you'd like to get in touch with me to arrange a web-based event or consulting meeting with your company or organization, you can find my contact info in the podcast notes below. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share it with others if you find the content valuable. Thank you. And now, on to today's podcast. In our last podcast, episode 72, I spoke about the growing concern about the potential of artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics as a viable alternative to human workers in contemporary labor markets. In today's podcast, episode 73, I'll speak about the growing concern around artificial intelligence-enabled disinformation campaigns spread by Facebook and Google's platforms and their implications for democracy. Let's get started. For most citizens in countries around our world, Facebook and Google have emerged as the primary distribution points for news and information. In fact, in some nations, as much as 98% of the population now obtain their news from these social media platforms. But at the same time, it's distressing to note that Facebook and Google are not bound by any of the ethical guidelines or rules covered in the Code of Conduct, which normally governs those working in the journalism and publishing industry. Alarmingly, Facebook and Google have no incentive or obligation to populate our news and video streams with content and information that has been checked and certified as true. Instead, the decision regarding which articles, posts, and videos are presented to us is primarily driven by Facebook and Google's desire to keep us engaged on their platforms. They want to maximize the probability that we will click on articles and videos and stay with them for as long as possible. The overriding objective, then, is to collect data about us, which can then be used to develop and continuously refine our personality profile. a technique within surveillance capitalism known as predictive analytics. This process enables social media companies to continuously present us with targeted advertisements that encourage us to make purchases of products and services promoted by their advertising customers. Researchers inform us that emotionally charged disinformation on Facebook and Google's platforms spreads at a much greater velocity than objective, rational truths. These well-coordinated disinformation campaigns are leading to serious and widespread social problems, such as vaccine hesitancy or rejection by intellectually vulnerable segments of society. Governments are also using disinformation campaigns to internally discredit or vilify their political opponents. Additionally, governments often seek to disseminate disinformation within other societies around the world in a blatant attempt to destabilize them by creating public confusion and unrest around candidate platforms during elections. Such disinformation campaigns typically originate in China and Russia, but recently they are increasingly coming from India, as warned by researchers at the University of Oxford in the UK. In the future, though, AI-based disinformation strategies, tools, and techniques are likely to spread to a host of nefarious actors and states around the globe as they increase their efforts to influence foreign policy and unsettle societies. In a recent poll by G0 Media, 72% of respondents said they believed social media is harming democracy. If disinformation campaigns propagated across the society via these platforms are methodical, sophisticated, and structured, and are carefully targeted, as only artificial intelligence agents can do, these campaigns soon become indistinguishable from the truth. Given that facts lead to truths, which in turn lead to a shared reality upon which any democracy rests, and given that democracy depends upon citizens debating within such a shared reality, the security of liberal democratic systems of government is increasingly under existential threats. The survey respondents were right. In mid-October 2021, the Nobel Prize for Peace was awarded to two journalists, one Philippine and one Russian. The prize highlights the dangers faced by journalists and news organizations around the world, particularly those in authoritarian states. Societies around the world have been alarmed by the recent coordinated efforts by authoritarian leaders to harass, imprison, and kill reporters working to expose government corruption and other misdeeds. Just 2 years ago, we were horrified by the shocking murder and dismemberment of a journalist in the Saudi embassy in Turkey. More recently, we witnessed the forced landing of a commercial passenger airliner in order to arrest another journalist. With these developments in mind, it is incredibly distressing to acknowledge that companies based in democratic nations are the ones responsible for developing sophisticated AI-enabled tools of disinformation and spying. Artificial intelligence agents are at the very heart of these disinformation campaigns and spying tools. They confuse citizens about what is really true and thus undermine the shared reality that underpins the very heart of democracy itself. A potential solution for Facebook and Google may be to abandon the current business model that monetizes user data and transition to a subscription model used by news organizations for movie and television streaming services. Until such time, though, we must urgently enact legislation and policy that enables government to impose severe fines and criminal liability for the executives of these and similar companies if they continue to host and propagate disinformation campaigns and other false information. Unfortunately, without severe punitive measures, we are unlikely to see any change in behavior. This is abundantly clear from recent Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandals, following which no executives were held to account. The future of democracy itself is now hanging in the balance. If we are unable to act, artificial intelligence agents will only continue to strengthen the hand of authoritarian regimes at the expense of liberal democracies. Thank you for spending some time with me. I'm trying to follow the TED Talk format, and so I'm keeping these podcasts under 20 minutes. Let me know what you think. I hope you'll find these insights into artificial intelligence helpful, and I hope you'll read my new book, The Genome Affair. It's on Amazon. Until next time, then, this has been the AI and You podcast with author Vicar Saidi.